Yo!
What's going on, guys? My name is Kevin, and in today's video I want to take you guys through the journey of my third ever diet. Now, with this being my third diet, of course it's been a lot easier this time around, but this has also been my longest diet, and we're gonna get into that. And I'm also gonna give you guys some tips and some things that I went through along the way and some insights that I have for you guys. Now, first things first, when did I actually start my diet? Well, I started it around the middle of August 2024, and now we're currently in the middle of June 2025. So it's been a pretty long time. Now, there's a couple reasons why this diet took so long. One of the reasons is, before this diet,
I was
dirty bulking pretty hard.
and in fact, I'm gonna put some pictures up on the screen somewhere of when I finished my bulk and how I actually looked. And another thing is, I kind of accidentally maintained my weight for 2 months. Now, the thing is, your weight's gonna fluctuate, and sometimes you might maintain your weight, and weight is kind of a really weird thing. The number sometimes just goes up and down for various reasons. So I was just kind of maintaining and making sure nothing crazy was going on, but I guess I was actually maintaining. And so what I ended up doing was cutting a meal from my plan, and that's what enabled me to continue my diet. So when I initially hit that roadblock, I was eating 4 meals a day, and when I dropped it down to 3, that's when my diet was able to continue, and I realized that, oh, I was actually maintaining this whole time. But even then, things went pretty okay. I put pictures on the screen of how I currently look. So this is how I currently look, and this is at the end of my cut. And of course, as far as what comes next, I'm gonna enter a period of maintenance, and after that, we're gonna get into
another bulk.
but this time,
I'm not gonna dirty bulk.
now let's talk about some things that happened along the way in this diet. Obviously, like I said, I cut out a meal from my plan, and I had to do this because basically I started maintaining for a while, and usually when you're maintaining, you want to just keep things the same, at least for a few weeks, maybe up until a month, because you don't really know what your body's going through, so you kind of just have to wait and see what's going on. But by this point, I knew I was maintaining, so I had to cut a meal from my plan. And obviously this tanked my energy for the gym and just existing overall, and obviously my hunger spiked way the up. This is really the only big change I did to continue with my diet, but the other 2 big things I did is cutting out rice from my meals. So my breakfast would usually be a 3-egg veggie omelet meal. That's really what I would eat for breakfast. And then I'd probably have like an apple throughout the day and a protein shake, of course. But my other 2 meals consisted of a plate of 1/3 rice, or maybe like 1/4 rice, and then another 1/4 of boiled potatoes, and then the other 2/4 would be a protein of either chicken breast or ground beef. But what I actually ended up doing is taking the rice completely out of the meal and just making it 1/3 boiled potatoes and the other 2/3 a protein of my choice. And this helped me continue along my diet and keep making progress as well. Another thing that I did is I started heavily playing basketball. So I would usually play once or twice or maybe even 3 times a week, at least every 4 days, and I would play for hours. I've been playing basketball ever since I was young. It's probably my favorite sport to play, and it's a great source of cardio. So I started adding that into my cardio, and this also made my weight loss
Go crazy.
2 other important points I'd like to mention is that I would still go out and have fun with my friends and eat food that's outside of my diet, and I still made all this progress. So that should tell you guys that you shouldn't be scared to also enjoy yourself on the side, because 1 burger never made anyone fat and unhealthy, and 1 salad and 1 gym session never made anyone super healthy and super fit. And as far as macros and stuff goes, I didn't really count my calories or my macros too heavily during this diet, but what I did is eat super consistently and made sure that my protein was sufficient. And this is all you really need in order to succeed. But obviously you can go deeper. You can use an app like MyFitnessPal or anything else out there to actually track your calories and track your macros and get more scientific and get more dialed in. But obviously that's all up to you. And as far as actual weight goals are concerned, what I would like to do is usually whatever my weight was at, I made my goal 5 pounds lower. I wasn't like,
Oh, I'm gonna lose like 20 pounds, boom.
I was like, okay, let's lose 5 pounds and let's make this an actual hard goal. And then we'll lose another 5 and another 5. And this way, it's a lot more consistent and the goal isn't so expanded and out of reach to where you kind of lose the mental battle. Speaking of the mental battle, that was a whole other thing. I probably wanted to give up on this diet more times than I can count. It was very hard. There was a lot of points, almost pretty much every day where I was hungry, but these are just some sacrifices that you're gonna have to make in order to reach your goals. And honestly, the best thing that I can say about the mental battle and the best piece of advice is just to stay busy and keep yourself distracted in other ways. So for example, when I'm at the gym working out, I'm not thinking like,
Oh my god, I'm so hungry.
and all these things. Or let's say I'm reading a book, or if I'm playing video games, or if I'm out with my friends, or just socializing, or whatever it may be. If you keep your mind occupied, you won't really think, oh, I'm so hungry and I really want to eat right now. You'll kind of be locked in and focused and tunnel visioned on something, so you should be okay. But that's the best advice I can give you guys in terms of the mental battle. Another thing I want to tell you guys is to kind of understand how your brain and your body works when it comes to hunger and when it comes to meals. So if you're someone that's really hungry in the mornings, you should probably have a bigger breakfast, right? Or maybe after your workout, you're super hungry, so you should save your calories then. Or maybe you notice that when you're trying to go to sleep, that's when your hunger really hits you. So maybe you want to keep your calories for later in the night. Things like that also really matter. So kind of just pay attention to yourself and how your body works and what it's telling you. And from there, you can kind of customize your meal times and when you want to eat to better ensure that you're successful when you diet. And as far as cravings are concerned, I don't think I'm the right person to talk about this because I'm gonna be honest, I really don't get food cravings like that. I know some friends that really do, and I know some other people that really get these crazy cravings. I honestly just really don't. It's not that I don't like good food or I don't think about it, but it's not really something that I struggle with personally. But what I could say about cravings is that you really have two choices that I feel like are viable, and then you have one choice that really isn't viable. And the two choices that are viable is you either work through it and you're like, I'm not gonna give in to these cravings. I think that's one good option. And if you feel like you just don't have that willpower, then the other next best option would honestly be to just kind of give in to the cravings. Now, the reason I say this is because it's better to give into those cravings from the start initially than to kind of fight it and then fail and then you kind of beat around the bush. So it's like maybe you want to eat like some ice cream, but instead you have an apple. That's great. But if you have that apple and you might still lose the mental battle and end up having the ice cream anyway, and you might end up having even more ice cream than you anticipated, for example. So that's the option that's not viable, where you kind of lose your mind and instead of just having a little bit of ice cream, maybe you eat the whole pint. So that's going to be a problem. So what you really want to do is either just not have the craving at all or just simply have the craving and enjoy it and move on. Because again, having one craving is not going to be the end of the world. Also, there's a lot of different ways you can combat cravings by giving into them in a more healthier way and still being able to enjoy yourself if that's your goal. So for example, one thing that I would do is instead of having my protein shake, I would, for example, go and buy protein chips. And maybe they're like 20 or 30 calories more, not really a big deal. And the protein is still there for the most part. And you still get to enjoy some chips. So that's an example of a swap you can make either permanently or every once in a while in your plan, where you can kind of enjoy a snack, but still get the benefits from the protein as well. Obviously, when dieting, you're gonna have a lot of stress as well, and there's different various healthy ways to cope with this stress. You can go on walks, you can meditate. I'd like to use the sauna after my weightlifting as a way as well. And when the sauna is really quiet, what I would actually like to do is meditate in the sauna. I think this is a very underrated duo, and I think it's actually very amazing, and you're gonna come out of that sauna feeling really fresh mentally. As well, what you can do is take cold showers. This also helped me a lot mentally, and it would reduce my stress after coming out of the cold shower. So I recommend that as well. You don't have to go super long, like 30 seconds to a minute of cold water really goes a long way. As far as tracking your actual progress, there's many different trusted ways to do this. Obviously, you want to track down your weight every day in the morning. This is what I do, and then I take the weekly average and then I compare the weekly averages. That's what you want to do. You don't want to compare your weight daily because your graph is probably going to look like something like this. So it's not going to be accurate. That's why you want to track your weekly weight, not really your day-to-day weight. Additionally, what you can do is measure your body measurements. This is a great way to track your progress as well. Another way is simply how your clothes fit you or how they feel. Maybe they feel more tight or more loose. This is another way that you can also track your progress. I additionally would take pictures of my body once a month. Again, you don't want to do like every day. You could, I guess, do every week, but I don't think a week is really going to determine too much progress, especially from a picture. So I'd like to take body photos around once a month, and that would kind of give me a better idea of the direction that I'm headed in. And one important thing to note is your sleep. You want to make sure your sleep is on point or pretty close to it, because if you sleep bad, you're gonna feel emotional, you might feel super tired or angry or upset, and these could lead to increased cravings, and these could lead to increased calories, and then there goes your diet. So you want to make sure your sleep is on point, and you also want to make sure it's on point so that you can actually lift good, because without good sleep, there's no way that you're lifting good weights at the gym either, and that's going to make your diet suffer a lot. So you want to make sure your sleep is on point. And yeah, guys, that's probably going to do it for this video. I know it was just kind of like a lot of random stuff just thrown at you, but this is really what goes on in my head when I'm dieting. So I just wanted to give you guys those tips and kind of things that I've learned along the way. I know it's kind of hard to diet mentally and physically, but you can do this, okay? You just got to put your mind to it and be patient, because even if you fall down, as long as you get back up, your graph is still gonna have an upward trend, even if it dips down sometimes. You kind of think of it like stocks, right? Just because you're down doesn't mean it's gonna be the end of the world. So with that being said, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments down below. Be sure to like the video and be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace!